I love being down here by the river. Just a great way to have a little bit of peace of mind. Reflect over everything that's happened the last several weeks. Everything that's gone on in the news, everything that's gone on at work, everything that's gone on every day. Anyway, we're at the end of the work day, our 8 to 5 life. On our way back to the homestead, I decided to swing by the river one more time again and reflect on some updates that we have, or I have found at least, about what happened to Mr. Kirk. It's interesting that a lot of detractors and quite a few people in high-powered positions, such as in the CIA and in the military, have actually been outed and at least administratively suspended or removed from their positions of power for the time being until investigations can be done, which is good. I'm glad for that in some ways, because people with extremist views should not be in a position of power. That's a very, very dangerous precedent, and that again is why this was exemplifying why this is such a dangerous precedent in the first place. Not just what went down, but how it was promoted to happen and how it was built up over the last 5-6 years now. But it's a dangerous precedent to have encouraged that kind of mentality and that sort of ideology and those sort of people to come into a position of power in the first place. So it's good to see that they are at least being removed from power. Really, when it comes to government and leadership, cooler heads must prevail. Moderate views must prevail. We have no room for extremism. That's what's going to take America down a very, very dark corner. And that's what I was explaining in the last couple of videos, including the shorts as well. America is a great nation, a great place, and what's beautiful about it is that it can self-correct as long as that system stays in place and as long as people actually do correct. Once that stops happening, which can very easily happen, and that's one of my greatest fears that could have happened here, I'm glad to see that it didn't. Now, with that being said, however, it's also important to know and to mention that I don't believe that these people who voice these more extreme opinions, whether for or against Charlie Kirk or for his message or for whatever he did or didn't do, I don't believe they should be punished in their personal lives and destroyed and have their lives completely in shambles and doxxed and canceled and etc., etc. I believe that's going too far. That in and of itself is an extremism. And that has no place either in society. Not now. Not ever. I believe it's sufficient enough to take them out of a position of power and leadership to where they cannot corrupt more minds and take them down the same pathways they are. But I believe there should be a time of repentance and reflection. Allow them to have that time to reflect on what they've thought, what they've did, what they've said, and allow them to actually understand where they're coming from, and for us to understand where they're coming from as well, and to give them a chance to see if there is an error in their ways. And if they find that not, then certainly, perhaps they should never be in power again. If they find that they are, perhaps we should give them a second chance. But either way, in their personal lives, in their citizen lives, we do need to maintain the freedom of speech, whether we like what's being said or not, whether we like what's seen or not. That fundamental can never and should never be infringed upon, nor taken away, nor stained with extremism of either type, either extremism in terms of censorship or extremism in terms of views. Both are very damning, very damaging. So I do believe we have to give them a little grace and a little forgiveness and use this as a time of outreach and of understanding and of education. Last thing we want to do is create an environment where people are afraid to speak. It's when people remain silent and let things boil within is when it really, really becomes a very dangerous powder keg. It's better to have an environment where people could freely speak and we can at least know where they stand and how they stand and what they stand for. At least in that way we have a chance to potentially intervene in a mature and tactful way and an understanding and, I guess, sensitive in many ways way at least not in an angry and violent way, to address really where their views come from. Why do they believe that way? Extremism doesn't just pop up overnight. People don't just wake up one day believing in that. They either fall into the trap of following others, following what's popular, following where the power is, or, more than likely, something had happened in their life that had led them to believe this way, to be open to this sort of rhetoric, to seek it even. Many times it's something mundane, but many times it could be something very traumatic. And when they really reached out for help and understanding, it wasn't there. And that's why they were pushed into these far groups. So I believe now is the time to really have that tact and maturity and show them the way, show them that they are not alienated, but they should not be in power, at least not right now. But to accept them with open arms and to understand them, and to have the time now to teach them through kindness, through love, through understanding, through maturity, through intellect, through logic. That's a great way to turn people around. Because when they see that they can turn to you and speak whatever is on their mind and not be immediately alienated or shunned, but rather listened to and understood, and have those topics and subjects explored into a deeper level, they not only will realize that they can come out to you and reach out to you, and that they have a safe place within greater society, and that they can still be accepted into society, but that allows them to also reflect inwards and onto themselves. Now, as much as I'm happy that for now it seems to be correcting in a good direction, at least for the time being, we have to keep in mind that extremism is not done with. It's not changing necessarily yet for the better. Right now is actually the time where we need to be the most wary, the most in tune, the most observant, and the most vocal about calling it out. There's extremism on the far right, on the right in general. I know in the previous videos it made it seem like I was really picking on the left. That's just because that's where the main focus was, in terms of the actor and the actions. But really, it's not an issue of left or right. It's an issue of alienation. It's an issue of people's answers not being answered or listened to, and their questions not being received. It's a situation of people not being understood or welcome into their own society, into their own people. That's what pushes them to seek these other groups. And they'll take them with open arms because it's a soldier, it's boots on the ground, and use them for whatever time that they're useful for. But that's not the right way either. The right way is to bring them back into the fold, take them in and teach them well, and help guide them well. Show them that there is a better way, that there is a light in the darkness. That's what really needs to be done. And right now we need to be very wary, because there is extremism on the far right just as well. Severe extremism, bad extremism, just as bad and damning as the left. Now, they haven't had a platform much like the left has had in the recent years, but they're building, they're gaining strength. So this is the time to really be wary, and to really be observant and call it out, and ask those questions and demand those answers, now before they gain too much power. Not just that, but shunning, doxing, destroying people's lives, that's extremism in and of itself. Are you any better than fascists, than communists, than Nazis? No. To truly be better, you must act better, you must think better, you must engage better with your fellow man, with your fellow countrymen. That's the most important thing to remember right now. So though it's a little bit of a breath of relief to know that the system does work, it is self-correcting and going in a better direction, now's not the time to rest on our laurels. We have to be extra observant, extra careful, extra vocal right now. Anyway, I'll keep abreast of the story and keep you guys updated as to things going on. I'm trying to be more careful about not getting immediately banned and shadow banned and just banned altogether. Though it seems like YouTube themselves are relenting a little bit in their shadow banning. Some of my newer shorts, despite being very political in their nature and commentary in their nature, are more or less getting close to the same views that they would have otherwise normally have gotten. So it seems like At least maybe they're having people instead of AI reviewing things. But the parent company Google is still very much, ooh boy, they're still very much gung-ho about banning it left and right with really made-up things. It's interesting that in my Charlie Kirk video, for example, they said gruesome scenes. Well, first of all, it's me talking in my truck. There's no scenes shown whatsoever. I don't even show the news clip or anything at all that could even be construed as gruesome. It's just my face in front of the camera. And, I mean, I know I'm butt-ass ugly, but come on, man. Jesus, gruesome? Yikes. Maybe I should start using some filters. But then also talking about elections and election manipulation. I didn't even discuss the elections at all. There wasn't even a word that came out of the mouth. Period. I don't even know where they got that from. I could see maybe where they could twist that into it, but still, it never happened in the video. And what was the other thing as well too? Oh, promoting violence. I spoke out against violence. That was the whole premise, the whole main point, the whole repeated point throughout the entire film. Their AI is no good. But when you go to appeal, they give you an option to appeal, You click on that link and go to fix it, right? There's nothing there. You have nothing that you can click on, nothing you can do, no matter how you do it. There's no access to it. Nothing. Nobody to contact. You can't reach out to them. So I just started responding back to their do not reply emails and just really kind of tearing into them. Which is funny, I've done that before and they ended up actually reversing one of the decisions on my promotion. So maybe that does work. Maybe somebody is actually reading them. Who knows? But it's good to see that YouTube maybe potentially freaked out at first, but they seem to be kind of turning back towards normal, which is good. I'll keep you updated as to how that goes. The parent company, Google, however, is still with their heads in the sand, quite literally. I could also say their heads are up somewhere else, but they may say it's a gruesome scene. Yeah, I know. Let's call this gruesome, huh? Anyway, I'll keep you guys abreast as to what's going on with the whole story and as to what's going on with this whole small creator journey. We're almost up to 9,000 in full. That's something. We're like 24 away from being at 9,000 subs without any promotions or anything anymore. Because I've been banned from doing any more promotions because of that kind of stupid shit that I just talked about. But anyway, at least I don't need them. At least it seems that the channel is growing pretty well. Slow, but well. And it's growing strong, pretty consistently, so that's good. But anyway, I'll link the two main videos. I have the follow-up one now. It's a little bit cleaner, a lot shorter, much more concise and to the point. Covers much of the same topics, but not in as much detail. And then I'll link the original one here as well, too. That one goes into far greater depth into the history of everything. And of course, the links will be in the bio as a clickable hyperlink as well, too. So please go check them out. They're not high production value. They're just raw and straightforward and to the point. In a rambly sort of way, but you know what I mean. It's just rawness, just honesty, and just straight authenticity. Anyway, I'll see you all on the next adventure.